I'm sick and tired of hearing those people when they say things like, "Oh, let's celebrate Black culture," or Native American culture, as though you're not supposed to be Native American. But let me say something: Native American, Blacks, South Americans, those people that call themselves Latino. By the way, Latino means that you're Italian, and Hispanic means that you're a Spaniard. And these people, you're a Mexican with his flat noses and sloped foreheads, with with an IQ of like 12. They're not Hispanic and they're not Latino. They're Amerindians, okay? And they don't have a culture. The Aztec and the Incans and the Mayans were populations that had no culture. They practically had no history. Uh, they had no real writing to speak of. They had no literature. They had no art. They had no science. Only Europeans have art, science. The only Europeans have Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein and Michelangelo and Dante and Tolstoy and Dostoevsky were Russians, but we can include them as part of Europeans because they had German ancestry. Only European have culture. When anybody says black culture, you say what culture? Dunking a basketball? Is that culture? Eating chitlin and fried chicken? That's culture. Watermelon, is that culture? Really? They don't have a culture. The Plains Indian, they had no culture. They spend their entire existence for thousands of years roaming around, dragging their crappy dirt and fighting each other, slaughtering each other like crazy. They did not even have a concept of the wheel. Of course, the Africans, when they were enslaved and brought here, they had no concept of wheel. They had no writing. They had no writing. They had no culture. They had nothing. Blacks were enslaving other blacks, Africans, and then they were selling them to the Portuguese and the Arabs, who then sold them to the Dutch and the English. And they were brought here. Slavery is the best thing that ever happened to them. The conquistadors, they conquered Central American, South American. It was the best thing that happened to these people. I mean, the idea of culture was cannibalism and human sacrifice. Just look up the Aztec human sacrifice. I mean, they were doing this awful thing. They wiped out the Mayan civilization that was in Guatemala. They literally captured the Mayans. They would take them up to the altar, and while they were still alive, they would open up their chest and uh, pull the beating heart out of their chest while the victim was still alive. This is their culture. Culture. We got to celebrate their culture. Cannibalism, human sacrifice, uh, slaughter. The Indians invented scalping. Yeah, okay, congratulations. That's culture. Only white people have culture. Only white people. A little bit, maybe a little bit. The Muslim, the Arabs, a little bit the Indians, with their blah blah blah, and the Chinese, blah blah blah. Who, by the way, that's a whole different story. But it was really the white people that built the Chinese Wall and the Taj Mahal and so on. But the idea is that nobody has culture other than Europeans. That's the bottom line. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the propaganda. Look it up. Learn something.